Sorry about that. It's like I've never been dressed before. Now, I got to say, before I get up here, I appreciate you sticking around. As I was back there, I was watching people who I thought were my friends trickle out of the auditorium. And I know it's been a long day. Your brains are probably like mush by now. I think it's been a good day, and I appreciate you coming. We've wanted to do this for a couple of years, like Rachel said earlier today, and I'm glad we can be here today. So I've been excited to do this. I hope we get to do it again. Probably not next year, but maybe in a coming year. I've learned in my life that there are times when we will hang signs and post signs around schools or other places like that, and the message that we intend to send is not always the message that's received by those that see the sign. So as I visit schools around our district, around the state, around the country actually, I often see signs like this. And I think that as I see signs like this, that teachers are really trying to say something like this. I think sometimes too, when we see signs like this, there might be other messages like this that they're trying to tell others. Maybe a plea for help or a plea for understanding of how they can manage this new thing we call the internet. And so, here's another sign maybe they see. We adults struggle to communicate with kids. I know I've felt that way before, and I'll talk more about that today. So as I see signs like this, the first thing I want to do is work with teachers and help them to get to understand that I believe a sign like this is really the best way we can write it. In 1973, Dr. Martin Cooper of Motorola, he made the first phone call with the handheld device. I know today that we've talked a lot about cell phones. I'm going to give a message today that may be a little bit hard to hear, but I think it's important. Now, in 1973, after he made that phone call, just a few months after, he decided to sell that phone or make it available on the market for almost $4,000. Today, as you know, cell phones, the availability of cell phones has exploded. We now live on a planet where there are almost as many cell phones as there are people. And, like it or not, we live in a country where 2 years ago, the number of cell phones in our country exceeded the number of people. As you know, as Dr. First mentioned earlier, we now have computers as cell phones that we can put in our purses. As cell phones have become as powerful as computers, and it's really getting hard to tell the difference. So, combine this with the prediction that Bill Gates and Paul Allen made in 1977 when they said, we want to see a computer on every desk and in every home. Microsoft, by the way, abandoned that model that they had just a few years ago, claiming success. We're there. So this idea, combined with the explosion of cell phones and the power of cell phones, make it so that our typical college classrooms today look a lot like this, where every student not only has a cell phone, but they also have a laptop computer. These are two actual pictures of actual college classrooms shared widely on Flickr. They show one of the conditions for which we in K-12 are preparing our students. Dr. Michael Wesch, he teaches at Kansas State University. He teaches in that environment. In an interview 3 weeks ago, this is what he said. I think he described our condition very well. He said, we live in an age of almost infinite information and learning opportunity. And so the key here is to inspire our students to have a sense of wonder and curiosity. And if we do that, they have what is essentially the world's largest knowledge machine at their fingertips. Here's the kicker. But if we fail at that, then they have the world's largest distraction device. It's on this distraction that I want to focus my message today, drawing attention to the harm that I believe the unchecked personal technology use is bringing to our society. to be blunt, in spite of and because of the great things we can do with technology, I believe there are times where our devices are becoming our vices. And I worry about what this means for our kids. Consider the example we set for our kids as adults. There's the man struggling to send off that tweet. Or the couple romantically saying, "I love you." Or the gentleman racing in the car next to you. Or the officer dutifully leading the way. And then think of the family that's traveled miles and miles to finally be together for the holidays, only to spend it like this. I wish it were a joke, but this is an actual picture of an actual family. People freely shared this with the world on Flickr. The caption for this picture is Thanksgiving 2008. You can see the turkey in the background, and you can see the adult in the picture joining along with the kids, setting the example. Here's another scenario we're very familiar with. In fact, in probably just about every restaurant across the valley, you'll see a scene like this. This is another picture publicly posted on Flickr, and the caption that accompanied this picture fascinates me. It says this: "Note how Mickey is briefly checking her device and texting in the middle of dinner. This is perfectly acceptable and even expected behavior in today's modern, highly interconnected, multitasking culture. Get used to it, evolve, or die." And so the question I would ask you today is, are those really our only options? What message is Mickey sending her friends as she texts in their presence? Are we really comfortable as a society and as people? Are we comfortable with this kind of behavior? In the 1960s, Marshall McLuhan, he widely shared the idea that we shape our tools and then our tools shape us. So to be clear, the idea we're spreading that I want to share today is a caution. I caution that unless we collectively work to keep our use of technology in check, then as technology personalization increases, as technology gets more engaging, our personal tolerance for distracted behavior will increase as well. And I also caution that if we allow our personal tolerance for distracted behavior to increase, then the quality of our local relationships will deteriorate. So reflect for a minute with me. Reflect on your own behaviors. Reflect on how you personally use technology. What messages might you unintentionally send to the people you love most? Is the relationship you have with Siri better than the relationship you have with your spouse or your best friend? Of the two, Siri or your spouse, which did you see first in the morning this morning, and which did you see last night? In what ways do you model responsible technology use for your students? As a society, I think we can admit that we have a problem. In spite of legislation that's taken place, we still have an issue with this. We need more socially responsible research to tackle this problem. We need to investigate the effects of technology on balance. To me, the key to a healthy life lies in balance. I'd like to finish with a personal story. Apologize for getting personal. I hope I can make it through without getting emotional. It illustrates that none of us are perfect, and that finding balance is a challenge. My wife and I, we're conservative parents relatively. We've been doing this for a while. I mean, we've learned a lot along the way. We've made lots of mistakes. When my oldest daughter turned 13, she came to us and asked if she could have an email address. So we talked about it for a little while, and we'd never done this before. It was our oldest. And so we decided to sit her down and we decided to have the talk. You know, the talk where you talk about internet safety and how it's important to keep your avatar updated and things like that. And then at 14, she came and she asked for a Facebook account. And that was a big step for our family. Little did we know at the time that eventually my 91-year-old grandma, she would join Facebook. And it would change her life for the better. Then at 15, my daughter, she came to us and she asked for a cell phone. She'd actually asked a lot before, but we decided to give in. We got her one that could text. I programmed my number in there and I sent her text messages occasionally. But to be honest, this really described me. So at 17, we got her a smartphone. And that opened up a whole new world. She contributed to the year of the selfie. And she's literally taken thousands, well, maybe not thousands, but hundreds of pictures like this. Like the rest of her peers. With the smartphone came Snapchat. She and her friends decided to transition from text messaging to Snapchat. EdTech Hack, he explained Snapchat for us, how pictures disappear, and that worried my wife and I, as Snapchat can be prone to mischief. But the problem was that we really wanted to teach responsible use. And so in talking about it with our daughter, we decided that we need to walk in the dark and try to figure it out. And so, in spite of the issues that can come with Snapchat, it's become, for me, it's become one of the most effective ways for me to communicate with my daughter, or at least electronically. Balance. Without question, we need to figure out balance. Without question, we need more teachers to model balance for their students. And so as you leave the conference this afternoon, as you drive home, I would ask that you consider this question over the weekend and as you use personal technology. What messages do you send through your use of personal technology? I think that only as we consider this as a society, one individual at a time, we'll still have a long way to go. Thank you very much.